Hi everyone, I'm Reyna, and together with my teammates Margareta and Wenzhou, we will be presenting our research report findings about security techniques in mobile banking applications. We will first be giving a high-level overview about what mobile banking is and some trends in the industry. Then we will highlight some security risks in mobile banking and approaches currently being implemented to address them. Finally, we will evaluate these approaches and discuss their trade-offs. Over the past decade, the proliferation of mobile devices has led to several opportunities for technical innovation in the banking industry. A prime example is mobile banking, m-banking, which has enabled consumers to manage financial transactions remotely via a mobile device. This is typically conducted using an application offered by the bank or financial institution, which provides a wide range of services such as account security alerts and reminders and account balance checks. M-banking benefits both users and banks. For example, customers can self-service their needs anytime, 24 hours a week, which in turn reduces costs for the banks. Banks can also collect data about their customers and provide them with personalized products and services.
The operating systems in mobile devices are similar to those utilized in personal computers, so there is a high potential for the same security holes prevalent in personal computers to be also present in mobile devices. We will now discuss three attacks that are often used by the attackers to gain confidential information from mobile banking applications. The first is mobile malware, which is malicious software that targets the operating systems on mobile devices. Based on its attacking strategy, the mobile banking malware can be categorized into two types, active and passive malware. The active malware attack is designed to gain access to users' bank account by stealing the transaction authentication number from users. A transaction authentication number, or TAN, is a type of one-time password, or OTP, used by some online banking services to authorize financial transactions. The figure on the screen shows an everyday example of how an active mobile malware can attack a transaction that is used frequently. To perform a transaction, the user requests a TAN from the bank. Subsequently, the bank generates a TAN and transfers it via SMS to the user. The message is then intercepted by the mobile malware that extracts the TAN, so the attacker is able to send it back to the bank to gain access to users' bank account and complete an illegal banking transaction. In contrast to the active banking malware, the passive malware is designed to monitor the use of mobile banking applications. Once downloaded, this type of malware will run a service in the background to search for existence of any targeted banking apps on the user's mobile. If any results are found, it will remove and download a malicious version to replace the original app. This malicious version displays a fake user interface asking for the user to input their credential information. The attackers can then sniff for any banking credentials and make illegal banking transactions. The second threat is insecure wireless networks. Public Wi-Fi networks are not secure from privacy risks. When users connect their devices to public Wi-Fi network to conduct mobile banking transactions, their personal information is highly exposed over the network. Hence, attackers who are using the same network can eavesdrop the communication channel and steal the confidential information of users. Another threat stems from the fact that mobile banking applications are susceptible to source code reverse engineering. The attackers may exploit this reverse engineering technique to analyze application code so that they can steal any sensitive information of the users. The last threat arises from user behavior. Users tend to store their credential information unprotected in a text file on a mobile phone or set their mobile banking application to remember the user's credentials. Moreover, the email and text messages that are received from the bank institution may also contain sensitive information required to access the bank accounts. If the mobile device is lost or stolen, all that information can be easily discovered by the thief, and the information found can be used to perform illegal banking transactions.
We will now discuss some approaches that can be used to address these security risks. Multi-factor authentication differs from the traditional single-factor authentication method, which only uses a single type of credentials like a password to authenticate the identity of the user. The goal of MFA is to create a layered defense and make it more difficult for unauthorized people to access a target such as a database. If one factor is compromised or broken, the attacker still has at least one more barrier to breach before successfully breaking into the target. MFA attempts to use a different categories of credentials: what the user knows, what the user has, and what the user is. Transaction authentication number 10 is used as a form of OTP together with a password. A good example would be the e-banking system where a user has to fill in his account number, PIN code, and the 10. However, some malware may somehow intercept the 10 and make it authentication more vulnerable. Our team developed a protocol to encrypt and distribute 10 in secure environment. The method is based on Needle and Schroeder protocol, and some enhancements were designed. The 10 generation server should remain trusted throughout the communication, otherwise the entire scheme will be broken if the server is attacked and fraudulent. The preconditions are that the symmetric keys should be known only to the client and the server, and the bank and the server. Digital signatures are used here to ensure the authenticity. The protocol works as the following example. The entire mechanism works without the client's awareness. A client sends his IDC to the bank he wants to communicate with using a signature of him. The bank replies with C's ID and B's nonce encrypted by KBS and signed by B as well. The client gets the encrypted messages and verifies it's from B. Next, client appends both the IDB and the IDC with the nonce NC and the encrypted messages, sending it to the server with C signature. After the verification, 10 Gen server will append the 10 as well as the master key KBC in both C's and B's encrypted messages. Then the client gets his own part of 10 KBC while sends B's part with his encrypted key. B sends C a nonce encrypted under KBC to show that he has the key. C performs a simple operation on the nonce, re-encrypts, and sends it back, verifying that he's still alive and he holds the key. In terms of public Wi-Fi security, the first way is to verify the reliability of the network by asking the owner. A VPN can hide the data flow leak from a malicious interception using a private network tunnel. HTTP is using a very strong public key cryptography to encrypt the connection between a client and a server. No one but the server and the client can know what is being communicated. That requires an SSL certificate. Other practices like avoiding inputting impersonal information and using secure devices are also recommended. Due to the nature of open source of Android, it is more prone to the malware attacks, especially the banking services. An Android sandbox isolates each application to run on their own environment using Linux security kernels. Moreover, the data should be located securely, with sensitive data in the internal storage only. There should be no sensitive data in caches, things that are used application widely. Last but not least, things that malware may pretend to be a trusted software using the similar UI. When developing an app, an application chooser should be popped up to let the user choose themselves if a third-party Android activity is going to be invoked externally.
To evaluate these approaches, we will consider their levels of security, performance, and impact on the user. Although MFA uses multiple identification points to authenticate the user, the TANs that are sent through are also prone to theft, regardless if they have been sent through an app or via SMS. They are relatively easy to implement, but adds another step to the login process and may be cumbersome to set up for non-technical users. Therefore, it is clear that MFA provides high security at the cost of user experience. On the other hand, the encryption and distribution of TANs focus heavily on increasing security with minimal impact on user experience. It provides mutual authentication and is resistant to man-in-the-middle and replay attacks due to the presence of the TAN-GEN server and the use of digital signatures and nonce in their communications. Despite this, there's a single point of failure at the TAN-GEN server. If it is compromised, the entire scheme cannot detect, let alone defend against any attacks. Addressing public Wi-Fi security mainly depends on a change in user behavior. They first need to be more aware and engaged with mobile banking security issues before following the suggested steps, such as avoiding suspicious websites and using a personal device. In terms of VPNs, they do come at a cost of slower speeds due to the encryption of each data packet, but prevents eavesdropping and man-in-the-middle attacks. For HTTPS websites, although they provide data integrity through the use of a CA, the CA also poses as a single point of failure for the protection scheme. The level of security provided by a mobile application depend on the application developers themselves to implement the measures outlined, as well as the app market administrators to ensure that these measures have been followed. Whilst the implementation of these measures may cause a small performance overhead, the UI prompts such as permission access and the app chooser give users confidence in knowing what the app is doing on their behalf. Thank you for listening.